everybody. Welcome back to Howl at the Moon headquarters. Glad to be back with another weekly blog. It hasn't been quite weekly, but hey, that's how it goes with blogs. So this one's called Why Can't I Write 8 hours a day? So I started with a former colleague of mine. He was just completely aggravated by my utter inability to show up at work at 8 a.m. and stick around until 5. And he blew a stack at me this time. And I remember him saying, do you think you're special, or don't you think the rules apply to you? And I remember it wasn't pretty, and the questions though were valid because yes, deep down, I do indeed harbor the notion that I am special. And as for the rules, the idea of punching a time clock every day is to me, the same as hiring a hitman to take out your soul. And so it was that kind of belief system that led me to stop working for people back in the 90s, and I just wasn't built for it. But the realization that one cannot or will not work in the same way everybody else does can be laden with a certain guilt, a fear that, God, am I just a lazy, unmotivated dreamer, gets slacking in my DNA somehow. But I've never been opposed to work. On the contrary, I'm never more lost or unhappy than when I'm not working on something or producing something. So I was up at 5 a.m. this morning, and I had 1,500 words written before the sun peeked over the ridge across the river. By this afternoon, though, I'll be done with anything that looks remotely like work. Instead, I'll be out walking on the loop trail, or I'll be taking a nap, or watching TV. That's called plot research, or maybe playing golf. But so many other people are staying put, slogging it out dutifully in their offices until 5 or 5:30 or 6. My workday is not the American workday, and accepting that as okay has not always been easy. So, enter Daily Rituals: How Artists Work by Mason Curry. This book is filled with accounts of the daily lives of work habits of some of the greatest writers and painters and poets and filmmakers and thinkers in history. And guess what I found in here? My schedule. W.H. Auden got up at 6 a.m., had coffee, did a crossword puzzle, and then he started writing from 7 until 11:30 a.m. because that's when he felt his mind was sharpest. Hemingway, I'm always looking at what Hemingway does, wrote that he sat down and wrote as soon after first light as possible, and he'd finished well before noon with the feeling that, quote, nothing can hurt you, nothing can happen, nothing means anything until the next day when you do it again. And so there's tons of these early morning creatives: Ingmar Bergman, Federico Fellini, Somerset Maugham, Igor Stravinsky. And then there's the walkers: Beethoven, Chopin, Kierkegaard, Freud, Jung, and Kant. They all swore to the creative importance of long daily walks. The nappers included names like Henri Matisse and Nicholson Baker and Franz Kafka, Thomas Mann. Even better, I found something bordering on a consensus about just how much creative work a person can sustain in one go, and it hovered right around 3 hours. So according to Martin Amis, quote, writing from 11 to 1 continuously is a very good day's work. In short, the book is filled with valuable affirmations that the schedule I've arrived at, organically and sometimes painfully over the years, is not the routine of an unemployed slacker. Rather, it's a time-honored approach, ideally suited to the needs of the functional creative. 8-hour work days and 40-hour work weeks be damned. I've got a brain that tumbles 24/7 through ideas and inventions and phrasings and philosophies, all the mess that's in there. And I sit down to squeeze presentable work out of it for as many hours a day as I can manage. And that simply means that I'm a writer. So it's nice to know that in doing so, I'm keeping some incredibly good company. Thanks. I'll see you next time. Bye.